All right, this is layer masks. Probably the most useful, most powerful tool that exists in Photoshop, to be honest. Um, so at this point, we've seen ways to correct lightness and darkness. So we might use a layer map or a layer adjustment. But my problem is, by the time, say, that I get the teacher here to look good, I've sort of destroyed the windows and now they're distractingly bright, not very realistic. And there's just literally no way to deal with that. Those windows are just really, really bright. So that's not going to work. You could even try something like levels. You might get a little closer, but we're going to notice that even if I try and play with the highlights, the midtones, and the shadows, it's just not working the way that I want. Um, there's a reason for that, which is that when you use these adjustment layers, you're affecting the entire image. And usually that's just not the case. Like it's just not feasible um, that we would be able to put one sort of adjustment on the entire image and expect that to actually work for us. So what we're going to do instead is something like this. I am in fact going to start with an adjustment layer. The key to this is I'm going to later isolate the effect to only certain areas. So first I'm looking at the teacher, thinking that, okay, I'm going to make her look the best I possibly can. I feel like she needs to be a little bit brighter because that's sort of my focal point in this image. So I say, great. I'm ignoring the fact right now that the windows are too bright. Not my problem. Okay, here's the secret. You see that there's this brightness contrast symbol or icon. Great, that identifies the layer. This is an adjustment layer. I can turn it on and off. This white thing is actually a layer mask. So if you right click to finger click, you'll see that it's there, right? We can disable it, enable it, or delete it. Right now it doesn't really do anything. Why? Here's how layer masks work. White shows, black hides. Right now it's entirely white. That means it's showing the effect everywhere. What I want to do is start hiding that effect. Or in a sense, actually, in this case, I might want to paint it all black and then only show it where I want it. So here's two ways to deal with this. Let's just see quickly how this actually works. Here's a brush. You must use white or black. Those are the only two colors, white, black, and shades of gray. But black and white are all that matters in layer mask. There's no color. So if I hide this effect, you can see what's starting to happen. So I can paint out the effect of my brightness contrast. And here it is. Option click on this icon. That's Option on the keyboard and click on that icon shows you the mask. So I can actually see, oh, in fact, I missed a spot there. And then Option click again gets me out. So I could go and try to sort of paint everywhere except the teacher, but that's kind of tedious. So I want to treat it a different way. Now I'm going to use the paint bucket and just fill, 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 fill. Again, Option click. I'm going to check my mask and notice obviously I've missed some spots. Click all those in. That's because I was painting before, so it's a little confused. But great. I'd rather do it this way. Why? Now it does nothing, right? Because black hides. I've hidden everything. So instead, I'm going to click over here, switch my brush to white. B on the keyboard is for brush, or click right here. And now watch, I can actually paint in the adjustment. Isn't this amazing? It's beautiful. Right, so these are my subjects. I want them to be a little brighter, right, a little more notable. So I have painted in the adjustment. The adjustment is only going to show in these white areas. It's completely hidden where it's black. All right, let's do one more for the background. So these windows are like a serious problem. And in fact, in this image, they may not be able to be saved in this method because they've actually literally gone so bright that the camera sensor recorded it as pure white. You see how they do nothing? Even if I turn brightness all the way down, I'm getting like pretty weak. Um, but I can maybe do something like that, turn contrast down a bit. I'm sort of trying to dull out the background. Again, Yes, right now, is it affecting the teacher and this girl here? Of course. But I'm going to hide that later. I'm not worrying about that. I'm paying attention to the background, thinking, okay, that's going to work for me. Once again, it's white. It's showing everywhere. Probably not what I want. So I'm going to take my paint bucket, switch here. So you can see it switch back and forth between black and white. And also hit the X key on the keyboard. Handy little shortcut. Black. So I'm hiding that effect everywhere. Great. Nothing happens now because the effect is not only hidden right by the eye or not the eye, but it's hidden because of the fact that the layer mask is completely black. Now B on the keyboard is for brush. White, I'm going to show this effect. I kind of want to remember, of course, this one down here was lightening. This one I just added was darkening. So I'm going to paint in the darker areas around the background. Here we go. So I'm trying to sort of go in here and paint in this effect so that I find that the background is a little less distracting. This becomes a bit of art, of course. So you're going to notice things like, well, should I go that far? Probably not, right? So I'm just going to undo. Oh, that undid a lot. Which is another reason it's actually good to not do long presses on the keyboard. It's better to do short little paints because it's easier to undo. I may not lose work that might have actually been good. And I'm just going to check. Does that look like about the background? Yes. So now the eye shows, oh, okay, I have actually improved the way that background looks. And here I can see that I've improved the way that these two look. Let's do a really obvious example now. So let's take hue saturation, right? Let's turn them into aliens. Great, they're purple. Again, we all know about the eye. Great, I can turn the effect on and off, but let's fill this black. So paint bucket, black, the effect is gone. Now watch as I paint with a white color. White shows, black hides. I could actually create crazy effects, right? This would be really difficult, you can imagine. We could try and do something like quick select, which we've learned, and select her face, and then try to do an adjustment based on that and whatever. But you know, often a layer mask is actually going to be a great solution. And now we have the teacher from Mars, and it was that simple. So using layer masks is a really powerful way to control where the effect is happening. All right, let's look at this one other way. When I do cut people out, so let's use the quick select. And maybe for some reason, I'm going to put this on a website or something, and I really just want to cut these two out at the table there. I'm not going to deal with refine edge right now or select and mask. I'm just going to say that they're probably good enough and click down here. What does this say? Add a mask. Oh, well now, oops, you can see I missed a bit. That's great, we'll fix it. In reality, I would probably at this point undo and go back and maybe grab this, but it's fine. Now you understand what you're looking at when you see this icon over here, right? Option click. Okay, so I'm showing these areas. I'm hiding those. Well, what happens when you hide something and there's nothing behind it? There's no other layer. It becomes transparent. So I can now fix this by using the brush and say, white, please show me. Oh, it's magic. Show me these areas. In the same way, I can switch with X and start to say, okay, hide that, make a slightly smaller brush. Her hair got lost. Oh, it didn't get lost, she just has a bow. So I'm using X on the keyboard to quickly switch between black and white. Oops, wrong one. Here's the awesome thing about layer masks. I've made a giant mistake. It's not gone. This isn't the eraser tool. People love to use the eraser tool. It's a bad choice. Why? Because if you erase, it's gone. Maybe I do 10 or 100 different things to this image. I end up adding some text, I change the background, I do everything. And then I realize, oops, I deleted her face. It's going to be impossible to get it back. I'd have to start over. But because this is a layer mask, the information's not gone. Here it is, right? It's right there. It's just being hidden. And so this is where it matters that if I say disable the mask, hey, look, the information was always there. I'm just hiding it. So I can very easily change my mind later. Ooh, how did it end up with pink? All right. And say I need white with a brush, and I can just paint her. Oh, great, I forgot to mention this. What's happening? This is bad. I am literally painting white on the image because the image is what's selected. Undo, undo. You must have the actual layer mask selected. Now, that was black, okay. X, white, make it a bit bigger. So now I can realize I maybe went too far, and I'm gonna paint these things back. So two different things you're using layer masks for. Sometimes it's to control where an effect is being applied, and sometimes it's to control a cutout, right? We can quickly sort of fix these edges manually. Of course, I want to start always with Quick Select. Quick Select's awesome. It works really well, but it's not perfect. So I'm going to use Quick Select, select and mask, refine edge, do as much as I can. Oops, hit X, see. But sometimes there's just little pieces that it misses. So I can come back with my brush and a layer mask, and I can make those selections more or less perfect. All right, so that's layer masks.